Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Associated Guest. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Baron Mind channel. Sorry I didn't end up streaming over the weekend. I know, big shock. But, and then yesterday, some things need my attention. My girlfriend, her car broke down, so I had to go pick her up and take her to work. So I didn't get to do a show yesterday, and I apologize for that. But there are more important things in the show, clearly. I love doing this very much, but priorities, be that as it may. But anyway, today we're going to get into some red carpet socialism, which is always fun. Gotta love those communists with Gucci bags. Speaking of which, Hasan Piker had a crash out over the weekend over the shoe-on head situation. We'll get back into that. And then we'll see what Trump's thinking about the situation in China. All right, let's get into it.
Loathe in capitalism. So this actress, Poppy Liu,
I don't know.
so she was born in communist China, to be clear. And I don't know if you guys know this, like capitalism has become a dirty word. That's why I use the term free enterprise. But we can't allow people to simply paint a picture or to try and draft a narrative that's untrue. Right now, it's really, really popular to just say capitalism is the cause of all your ills. And it's really a hard pill to swallow when it comes from a lady, I'm using that term loosely, from a communist country. So when she was asked about what was annoying about capitalism, some would say a leading question, she gave this answer of word salad, and then it's echoed by all her castmates.
Capitalism is a system of evil that is oppressing all of us in a hamster race in which the majority of people cannot win. Like currency is made up, credit is made up, debt is made up. Why do people have student debt? My rant is that capitalism is the greatest evil in the world. But like the people that are like, oh, but like, don't you enjoy the nice things? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, I do. And also, I would be okay with it if it meant that more people in the world could live without oppression. Like, hello?
Well, pirating movies it is.
Yeah, she'd be okay with what? What is she saying she'd be okay with?
I don't know.
Living in poverty?
And it's cliche. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Like people often say, well, you're not.
When it comes to the movie piracy situation, the actors will always say, oh, I don't care about my money, but you're taking money away from this guy who really makes the movie, who we don't pay shit because you don't even know who he is or what their name is.
Not racist because you have black friends. It may be cliche, right? It may be old, but it's a perfectly legitimate defense. An actual racist probably doesn't have a lot of friends from other racial groups or ethnic groups. Yeah. In this case, it's cliche, but she's on a red carpet promoting a film. She's promoting a film that nobody needs, nobody asks for, and nobody actually, in order to watch said content, needs to see a red carpet premiere. And she's wearing expensive fashion. Think about this for a second. Capitalism, right? What they're doing, it's not, okay, a determination of the cost, raw materials, goods and services. It's some kind of piece of art that maybe people want or maybe people don't. And fashion is entirely based on building up a lifestyle brand to overcharge people in order to achieve some kind of social status. She and this is the walking example, the epitome of what people loathe in capitalism. The communist overlords would kill her first. They would kill her first. And her castmates in the film, and they look about exactly as you would expect. It's a film called I Love Boosters. They weighed in with their...
Yeah, it was an eventful weekend. I gave a little mini breakdown at the very beginning. But just, you know, certain real life things take priority.
Own equally stupid takes on capitalism, but I don't think all of them are from communist countries, so we have to listen.
There's a long list.
The only people that really benefit are the top 0.003%.
That's you.
Agreed. It's very simple.
It's just way too imbalanced. There's no way you need to have all that damn money and people out here
Or
engaged.
frilly
How do you
epaulets.
figure out a way to make capitalism work for everyone when you kind of need someone to be poor for someone
those
to be
buttons
rich?
work.
I don't know.
That you think that putting other people down is the only way that you can win.
Okay, well, we're in
That's hilarious considering what these people spend their free time doing.
late stage capitalism. So if you don't love it, it's almost over.
The unfairness of the entire system.
The idea that we can't all win together, I hate that. That's what comes from this all, because we can.
Why are we all?
Are you sharing your money? Are you doing anything charitable? Or are you just enjoying the wealth and then trying to make it seem like you don't really like it when you're on camera? Inquiring minds.
grinding? Why are we all working so hard to make money for who? Who is this for?
You. Very clearly you.
You're on the red carpet to make money for you.
A movie's about stealing.
I like that the one lady said the top 0.003% because she had to do the math to figure out where she lied.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's on the
Scale.
right
It's
side
like,
of
wait,
that.
I'm 004. So yeah.
That's a safe
The ones
bet.
that are richer than me.
That's a safe bet. And they're not making this film in order to give.
And again, it's a long story, but and you always hear this. You'll see it with people until they make money. They'll be like it's the millionaires and the billionaires. Bernie Sanders is one of the ones that I used to love until the man sold out. But he was always like, it's the millionaires and the billionaires. And then as soon as he became a millionaire, he's like, anybody can write a book. Anybody can have 3 vacation homes. And now he just says the billionaires. And I'm sure if he crosses that threshold before he finally perishes from this earth, he would just say the trillionaire. Because there's only one. And it's the one that they all hate. I understand not liking the guy. He does a lot of things I disagree with. But at the same time, I mean, he's no worse than we'll just say the lesser billionaires. No, nothing that egregious.
Give all of the money, the profits, back to the poor. They're making this film hoping that you, middle-class Americans, whether through subscription or whether through buying on demand, give them your money for an entirely unnecessary product. They're not selling you bananas or government cheese. They're selling you shitty, likely AI-written, generated content that they act in at scale while telling you that, hey, why do we have to do this? You don't. You really don't. You just do.
Yeah, and then again, these are people who didn't want anything but to be famous their entire life. And a couple of them can definitely point out John Ritter's kid. Nepotism. Seems like a sweet kid. But when you're raised in a certain lifestyle, your opinion about these things doesn't matter because you've never known any real struggle. Other than the fact that your dad passed, and I apologize for that. John Ritter seemed like a genuinely good guy. However, no, yeah, absolutely. We'll try again this weekend.
Okay. I heard, frankly, that sent off for life.
Let me see that video.
What?
Let me see that video.
It's always the people in the most unnecessary professions bitching about capitalism. You don't see you don't see construction workers. You don't see people up there fixing the phone lines, going like, I don't know, why do we need to do this?
Yeah.
Who needs this? Everyone. You're like, who needs this movie? I love boosters. That's a good point.
Really
Kill
is.
yourself.
Yes.
You also don't see red carpet interviews in communist China.
No.
It's not like they're a tiny country that can't afford to support a movie industry. It's just that communism doesn't support a movie industry.
Yeah, it doesn't support it the way that you guys think or want. And, we had to change Red Dawn to be the Koreans because they were the bigger threat than China. Now, remember, when people talk about capitalism, free enterprise, and check the references, links in the description.
Wasn't Red Dawn the Russians, the original one, or is he talking about the crappy remake they changed to Koreans from Chinese?
We do it every show. Bibliography. Hey, see, this is the beauty of capitalism. We can do this and get you this information without the government actually shutting us down. 11 a.m. is when we stream. 56% of Americans going to find themselves in the top 10% of earners in their lifetime. Over 73% going to spend at least a year in the top 20%. And over the course of its history, capitalism, free enterprise, has lifted 6.5 billion people out of extreme poverty.
Wow.
Communism obviously has lifted no one out of poverty, objectively. No one has been lifted out of poverty from communism aside from people who are in the actual communist regimes. And it's killed, hundreds of millions of people, if you add it all up. You'll say, oh, I know capitalism kills people. Well, sure, but it's not because of capitalism. Communism out of necessity and socialism out of necessity, because you can only actually take people's earned resources by force, requires the murder and subjugation of people. And it doesn't lift anybody out of poverty. It's not possible. The synopsis of the film is a group of shoplifters take aim at a cutthroat fashion maven by stealing her clothes and reselling them at a lower price. What they call fashion-forward philanthropy.
Oh, my God.
Did every one of you guys at the red carpet, did every one of you shop at Goodwill? Huh? The people who are actually buying these expensive clothes. It's you. Fashion-forward philanthropy, stealing, and so kind of like, remember old Holmes Hank's consumer-centric cigarettes operation. It's like that. Only with
A Lucy.
Holmes Hank, I know what I'm getting.
Can you find? I thought, like, okay, before I read that synopsis, I was like, maybe they're stealing food, medicine, you know, like things like that, and they're going to try to, like, no. They're stealing something that you could just go and get for like 25 cents at Goodwill. They're like, I don't like this fashion person, so we're going to steal the clothing and sell them to people and also make money when they sell it.
Yeah, it's not like they're giving away the clothes. They're not Robin Hood of the fashion world.
No.
Like, they're still making money by cutting prices, kind of like a capitalist.
They're basically they're a walking consignment store. They're Etsy personified. That's all it is. Like, we're going to steal it, and I'm going to put a little beat.
And movies like this is what happens when you really don't know what exactly you're advocating for. And unfortunately, this is what happens when a lot of so in schools sometimes, especially if you have teachers who are particularly strong in a certain cause, they'll say, you can stay here and learn about math or the Soviet Union, or there's a such and such cause that you will be excused from class if you wish to go out there and support it. And most of the time, they don't even tell you what it is. They just give you, hey, you don't have to be in class if you do thing. That very same reason is why I got into orchestra in the 6th grade, was because you got to get out of class for roughly about an hour, and my teacher was scary as all reason. She looked like Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. She looked like her mother had sex with the guy from the little playing chess with himself thing on the little Pixar shorts. It was horrifying. She looked like Bitter Beer Face if it had been made 10 years prior.
Eat on it, and we're going to sell it. Just die. Hey, do you like what you saw? I don't know how, because it's on YouTube and we have to cut all the good parts out. So you should tune in live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on Rumble. We can still...
Shu smacked Hasan so hard, his grift is shifting to trans. Now it sounds like an insane exaggeration,
It makes sense.
But no, Hasan was on stream arguing over being transracial, as Hasan has been and always will be white.
I am
my old 6th grade teacher looked like Yzma.
Heterosexual male, which puts me in a no marginalized category.
Shifting to white Chinese.
And that's the funny thing. He'll always he'll always present himself as being a Caucasian, unless people are getting over on him in the argument, and then I'm from Turkey. Absolutely insane. Like, while yes, a little sliver of Turkey is part of Europe, I mean, come on, Hasan Piker.
We were already white Chinese in this chat. I've already become full Chinese.
But has since ditched this.
Sometimes you can't be talking like that, white baby. See, this is what I mean. First of all, okay, I'm a
He did his go-to.
goddamn Muslim American who gets fucking called a terrorist every fucking day. Okay, are we doing racism Olympics?
See, and that's funny. Someone exactly what I was saying. He's always, oh, I'm a Caucasian. Oh, I'm white Chinese, which is a joke he was saying when he went to China, saying he was converting. But the second someone calls him a white baby in the chat, he said, oh, I'm a motherfucking Muslim American. Well, what are we even doing, Hasan?
Now arguing, race is made up, having struggle sessions with his chat.
I always say I'm white. Okay, I always say I am white, and it's always the
says it.
who are like, he's not white, he's a goddamn terrorist. Have you seen me dance? I'm white as man.
People don't call you a terrorist because you're Islamic. People call you a terrorist because you support terrorists. You literally had a literal Houthi pirate on your stream, and you compared him to Monkey D. Luffy. What are we talking about? His go-to? No. His go-to is always, if anyone ever says anything that pisses him off, he'll always say, suck my fucking cock. Like, it's ridiculous. That's always his go-to. He has, and maybe it's just because I was made fun of a lot, not just as a kid, but as an adult, because I'm way too much fun to fuck with, apparently. Because when I get mad, I do kind of crash out a bit. It's mostly performative, mostly. But since I'm so much fun to fuck with, I got picked on a whole lot. So I had to learn how to turn jokes back on the people who gave them out in the first place, or just learn how to insult people. I have a rule. Always have at least 2 jokes in your back pocket for all of your friends, and even just random assholes at work. Potato Crusader made a funny song about Hasan. It's called Schrodinger's Turk. That's pretty funny. I'll have to look that up. I saw the Shock My Dog one. The shock my dog. Anyway.
Whiteness is a social
It actually
construct.
had pretty good
Race
flow
is a
to it.
social construct. The ways in which the out group or the in group perceive me is what matters. What a stupid way to start the day.
Of course, I mean he'll say that race is a social construct. Kind of, the racial hierarchies are a social construct, and those should be broken down. But you can only do that if you actually want to treat everyone the same, and not just be down on the alleged oppressors. Same thing with gender. Gender is not a social construct. Gender is just a fact. Gender expression, on the other hand, that's a social construct. You can dress however you want. I could give a fuck less. Whatever happened to tomboys, and you know, what do they call them? The flamboyant dudes. There's nothing wrong with that. And this new push that it's not gay if you date a trans person who is genetically the same sex as you, but presents the other way. It is, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being gay. You can be who you are. Just be real and be open about it. I mean, people are still going to make fun of you, yes, but no one is beyond criticism. No one is beyond being made fun of, especially in your friend group. You should be, I mean, it depends on your friends, but my friends and I, we love to make fun of each other. That's just part of it. Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, but I've never understood, like, with the Black Lives Matter movement, my only thing against it was, one, it started on the Michael Brown lie, but 2, really, it was mostly pushed by rich people, and they were trying, like, it started in, I think it was Missouri, at Mizzou. The black son of a rich oil tycoon, I think it was trying to get segregated dorms back at Mizzou. And that's the only reason I've ever been against that whole movement, was because it was hijacked. One, the actual movement itself was started by a bunch of grifters who did nothing but steal all the money. They never did anything for their own community, and they kept all the money. And they bought themselves lavish mansions and then got arrested for buying themselves lavish mansions with money they were supposed to use on actual good things for the black community as a whole. Exactly. And that's been my only issue with that. And the same thing with the trans movement. It makes people hate who they are, especially women. and it's kind of anti-gay. In a lot of ways. Like, I understand there's the people who are literally fuck anybody. It doesn't do anything against those people. But some people just like their own sex. Some guys just like guys, some girls just like girls. And that should be okay. It should be okay to just, the same way as it is to just like the opposite sex, it should be 100% okay to like the same sex. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the trans community, if you say, I've never understood why you can't just say a dude dating a trans woman is gay, and that's 100% okay. It's like I said, it's okay to be gay. I don't understand the disconnect on this, but it's really frowned upon, as I found out right before I was crashed out on and blocked on X.
Holy sh**. Your friend told me to this off. Aw, are you sad?
Social media has never seen a more insecure millionaire. As a whole, transracial nonsense only popped off after Shu got him wearing suits to his own room. As before, Hasan was best known as the socialist decked out in $5,000 designer outfits. Shu's
ugly as
first
shit.
video-
And that's the thing. He claims to be a socialist, but his average outfit cost is about $5 or $6 grand for one outfit. Not his wardrobe, like most of us. Most of us don't even have $5,000 in our whole house, let alone just on one outfit. He's a communist with a Gucci bag.
Made fun of him for it.
Like, I'm sorry, that just pisses me off. Like, sitting in his ugly ass $600 Gucci sweater. I swear I've never seen this guy in a f***ing normal ass t-shirt.
So then he switched to wearing exclusively suits.
Why are you always in a suit? I'm a suit guy now. This is it. I'm in my suit era.
Did he change into a suit because I made fun of his Gucci shirt? Like, you can literally see him scanning his chat.
He then switched to wearing Lieutenant Colonel cosplay in front of a Chinese flag. It's especially hilarious since Hasan says he hasn't watched any of her content. It's just a coincidence that before he leaves his bed and gets dressed, his outfits are just, coincidentally, something Shu would approve of, or at least hasn't made fun of yet. But I really believe the reason this whole Shu debacle has Hasan on his heels is her commentary almost accidentally cuts him at the very core of his existence, as just before her dig at his designer drip.
If you're getting your politics from a person like Shu on Head, you should be embarrassed.
What do you mean, get your politics from Shu on Head? I don't expect my audience to get their politics from me. I expect them to be entertained, to laugh, to think, to engage with the discourse at hand. I don't try to, like, pass off as someone you should get your politics from. I don't think my audience should get their politics from me or any YouTuber for that matter. I think they should do their own research, come to their own conclusions. I just say my opinions and people are free to agree or disagree. Hasan, on the other hand, like, really thinks he's some serious political commentator. Bro, you're a Twitch streamer. I'm a YouTuber. But that's the difference between you and I. I know what I am.
Being just a streamer isn't an insult unless you're a delusional idiot, as dressing up in designer like a celebrity doesn't make you a celebrity. Putting on a suit like a politician doesn't get you into government, just like me wearing a sports jersey doesn't mean I'm actually on the Dodgers. It's actually quite juvenile for me to have this, but the difference is, when Hasan plays dress up, he actually believes he's on the team like some Make-A-Wish kid going on Joy Reid's internet show.
I am the danger. We are the danger. And I need them to understand this. We're dangerous to the corporate bottom line. We're dangerous to profit seekers.
Where strangely...
That's you. You're profit seekers. What? Oh my God. These people are dangerous not because they do what they think they do in their own lofty interpretation of whatever the hell it is they do online. They're dangerous because they support all the terrorism, like literal terrorism. I'm not just talking about like, oh, someone said or did something I didn't like actual like bang bang shooty shooty bad time terrorism, whether it be domestic or people from other places. They support all the things. Again, Hasan bin Laden Piker had I can't remember the dude's name. The pretty pirate, the one that everyone was just like, oh, he's so pretty. Had him on a stream and compared him to Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece. Absolutely insane.
She never let him on her TV show. The same thing with the socialist candidates for Los Angeles mayor. She only went on his stream after her candidacy was already cooked. He likes to think he's up there with legitimate left-wing journalists and politicians, but they only seem to have time for him at the ends of their relevance. When active Democrats either severely cut short or completely cancel their collaborations because, simply put, he's fucking weird. Even when talking about his IRL activism.
Hasan is pissed because, like, he's finally out doing something in the real world, and the only thing people care about, the only thing people are talking about in regards to him online right now is this. And you know what? To be, like, completely fair, which is something these people would never do for me, this was a better response than his first response. He's basically just like, I don't care, I'm busy doing, like, real things in the real world. Okay. Fair enough, understandable, have a nice day. But then, then he says this.
Talk to me when we got the wiki feed ratings up for Shuan Head, okay? What's her wiki feed looking like?
What?
Okay, what's her...
What is going on? Did I listen to what that woman said? No, absolutely not. Let me know if I can see her feet, though. What?
Kinda hard to be taken seriously on TV, affiliating with that weird Twitch dude who responds to criticism by comparing feet, or even worse, the guy mostly known for shocking his dog, and whether or not he actually electrocuted his
exactly
poach,
what is
the
what he's known
perception of
for
him
now.
isn't socialist thought leader, isn't that the guy that zapped his puppy? To which he...
Yeah, exactly. No one calls Mutahar a terrorist, except for maybe Nux, but he was joking. But nah, Mutahar, he's great. He's fairly based. He had a few wavering moments, but I don't know. I like him. Mostly.
He's still struggling with in his own audience.
Give the dog to a loving home, dumbass. My dog. There's literally not a single person on this planet who can take better care of this dog. God, the desperation. These dudes will never let up. XUC brought up Collargate again, dead end streamer. Oh, nice.
And Hasan, the reason people won't drop the fact that you shocked your dog. One, no one truly cares. They only keep pushing it because you keep changing your story. First, he accidentally clipped his that back claw, whatever it's called, I can't remember. He clipped it on the bed, and then it turned into it's a vibration collar. And then it turned into, he's just whiny sometimes. And then it turned into this and that. And then it was, it is a shock collar, but I took off the shock function. And then someone came out and said, that's not true. But he keeps changing his story. And that's the reason why people are still talking about it. See, if you didn't lie so much, lying, by the way, he said it was based. Lying is OP. Which is why he does it so often. But if he didn't lie so much, then people would just leave things alone. But that's all you do. You're a narcissistic, lying grifter. And that's part of the reason why when Trump won, Hasan still rips on Trump, But then he also rips on the Democrat Party, saying that they would do the exact same thing, which is just retarded, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. To say that Kamala Harris would run the country the same way as Trump is nuts.
And notice, October 7th was 7 months ago now, and despite being able to ban chatters and even words, he still can't control the narrative around his electric past, constantly crashing out on random chatters and fans that have supported him with paid-for subscriptions, and now the YouTuber he deemed irrelevant.
She's been posting about you and these losers make that your problem. Yeah, that's one of the funnier aspects of this kind of stuff, is that this beef is almost always one-sided. And like, there will be like maybe a 20-second mention on my half where I'm like, dude, really, you're gonna bring up Shuan head? What a ridiculous thing to do. We're doing political commentary here. Who gives a shit? And now that I've said that, she'll do like an hour-long video on it, being like, he was so owned. It's such a funny, easy way to algo farm, and people still fall for it. Like, who's the one crashing out? The person who did a 20-second mention, or the person who did an hour-long video off of that 20-second mention? This is a one-sided beef.
To which Shu responded. Yes, she lightly roasted him for 3 minutes, reacted to his reaction where he said he wanted to end himself, and since she and an anime gif had some giggles over it, that means Shu was crashing out. If self-snitching projection had a synonym, it would be called Hasaning, as literally everything he does and says is a subtle self-critique of himself. But his audience is just too stupid to notice. He talks about right-wing content farmers taking his streams out of context when he does the same exact thing to Asmongold, which actually makes both of them insanely wealthy, being able to go back and forth. The difference being, the Roach King isn't really spending any of that money, while the so-called socialist needs it to fund his extravagant $1 million mansion LA lifestyle. And I'm not saying I'm above any of this, as I'm also in this parasitic system that is social media. As Hasan had a stupid take on a video game, so Shu called him out on it, and then I commentated on Hasan's crash out, to which even Shu saw, then made her response video. And judging by the fact that Shu's 2 videos got over 3.5 million views, she probably earned around $15,000 on those 2 episodes in 2 weeks alone.
I also just want to make it clear that if he
$15,000 in 2
not
weeks
be
on the 2
responding back
videos.
unless it's something absolutely insane that requires a response. I refuse to get caught in the Hasan Piker content loop. I will leave that to the professional Hasan Piker farmers. There are people who have made diabolical wealth off of farming this guy, okay? They're calling him the corniest
that shows
man alive.
that she watches the legendary
the final
series.
boss of performative male feminism. The human Brian Griffin.
Where Hasan's
Yo,
just
the Brian
new
Griffin memes
Johnny Somali.
are the best.
As some idiots may actually be watching and enjoying his streams, but I believe it's mostly viewed by people that want to see him suffer.
Yeah.
So if you appreciate my concise, light-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription, and you.
And guys, just make sure that you get out there and you support Mr. Decoy himself and Crowder. But let's see, how much time we got? Oh yeah, we got time for to see what's going on in
Davis
China.
had a lot of land for a long time. Obama.
We have less than 1,000. How does that give us an advantage? Speaking of scammers, the Chinese. So let's be really clear about this. People are going, I don't know, there's a moral equation. Which market is going to be bigger? Which country is going to be the biggest economic force? Okay, the Chinese Communist Party, which basically means China as a whole.
Real quick before we get into this. Look, I'm all for free speech, okay? And you can try to make a point statistically if you want to say something like such and such group is more violent than other groups. But that's not what Chud does. Okay, he's no different than, like we just talked about, Johnny Somali or any of these other assholes, Twitch and TikTok streamers who just go out on the streets and harass people. Going out on the street and following black people, calling them the N-word. I'm not going to say it. Until they lose their shit and then shooting them because they lost their shit because you harassed them and yelled the N-word at them and called them, what was it, monkeys, and saying that they're chimping out and shit like that. That's not cool. Sure, it makes for some World Star-esque videos, but Chuds is going to jail. He should go to jail. If not just for the harassment, again, he's following people around. These people aren't following him around until he gets their attention. If you slap a bull on its ball sack, it's going to give you the horns. Okay? And that's what's happening to Chuds. That's not what Chuds did. He's not the bull in this situation. He's full of bullshit. But again, harassing black people, going out on the street in large cities and calling them a bunch of chimps and monkeys and the N-word and all this other stuff, that's harassment for one. And depending on what city you're in, especially if you're in a big blue city, I'm sure it's some kind of hate crime law. But if they attack you for constantly harassing them, is it right that they attack you? Legally, no. But it's one of those understandable bits. So you cannot go out there and slap a bull in the balls and then shoot it in the head because you're afraid of the horns. If you were that afraid of the horns, you wouldn't have slapped him in the balls. Okay? You got me? So that's all I'm going to say on Chuds. The guy's not worth anyone's time. Okay? He's like Johnny Somali. All he is out there is just sowing discourse for clicks. Okay? He is tearing down race relations. I know they're already at a low point of late because of the mainstream media, so on and so forth. However, assholes like this don't do anything positive for anything. Okay? He's out there making money, harassing people, and then shooting them if they get too unruly after he harasses them for, I think one of them was like an hour. So, no sympathy. He should have got his ass whooped. It would have been a cleansing moment for him. But instead, he shoots the guy. I don't think the guy actually died. I think the guy's going to be okay. Which, good. Sue him and send him to jail. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Aptly named Chud.
Well, not the people, but its representation. Liars, thieves, tyrants, and they want to destroy your country and you, if you are in the United States of America. Let's start off with that. You understand that? So this makes it all the tougher to see President Trump's proposed policies, rhetoric, we don't know because nothing is finalized yet, in a positive light at all. It's not very good. We said we're waiting with bated breath to see what happens with China. No president has been tougher on China, but his rhetoric seems to have changed lately. He came back and discussed with Sean Hannity a few major issues as it relates to China, and I don't really know that President Trump, in representing his constituency and being America first on this one, I don't know how he could be more wrong, and if it's possible, not by much. So first, let's address this issue that we've discussed quite a bit, farmland and the Chinese buying our farmland therein.
The issue of Chinese students in our universities, more importantly in my mind, is that Chinese nationals have been buying up thousands and thousands of acres of farmland, ranch land, and land near military installations. Now, I would assume I'm in Beijing. If I wanted to buy property near one of their military installations, I don't think President Xi...
No, they wouldn't let you. I don't... Look, it's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop? You want to see farmers lose a lot of money? Just take that out of the market. But they've had a lot of land for a long time. Obama did nothing about it.
And you're doing nothing
about it. They bought a
it.
lot of it during the Obama administration. He did nothing about it.
Yeah, and so
That's a
what are you
deflection.
going to do? And
Yeah.
it sounds like nothing. And I'd like to present to you, something that maybe sounds reasonable in theory, but how it is played.
And look, I don't like the idea of a country owning land in another country. I don't really think anyone should, especially if someone. I'm not big on anyone who's not an actual citizen owning land in another country. I understand that the embassies and all that are technically sovereign to the country who the embassy represents. And that's fine. But there's locations for that. Okay? It can't be near or on a military installation, so on and so forth. But other than that, no Chinese nationals, no one who is not an American citizen, should own any land that's not directly embassy related in another in America, or even Americans. Like, we shouldn't own land in other countries. And I think it's a good thing that we're getting out of Europe. I do. Mostly just because of some of the bad decisions that people I know who have been stationed in Europe have made, mostly in the wife department.
Laid out in real time. I present to you the final act, the Screw-Stige. Because little bits of myself are left in a box under the stage every time. So, remember I've told you in the past, hey, look at what the opposing side is saying or what they're doing, and that'll give you a pretty good idea as to what their strategy is. Let's look at Chinese ownership of farmland in the United States. It's like 380,000 acres. Somewhere around there, you can check the references. Our ownership of Chinese land, 0 acres.
Ooh, that's not good numbers.
No.
We got to pump those up.
380,000 to 0. Why do you think that is? Now, the Chinese are also very, very clear in the United States is this awful place that will fall and it needs to crumble. For crying out loud, they release troll videos. So they want us to do poorly, right? That is their goal. So most of their policies would be what they view as most effective to ensure a poor outcome for the United States. They let us buy 0 acres. Why do we let them have any? Now, I understand the point that I think he's making there. It doesn't make this argument any more valid. Yeah, I guess if you just took it from the Chinese, 380,000 acres, and that was up for grabs, of course, you've just increased the supply, so the demand would go down and prices would go down. And maybe it's not so much that he's beholden to the Chinese, but he's more beholden to the farming lobby, which, by the way, in this country, they are not your friends. You think that the big farming lobby, this is why we say APAC can go screw themselves, but you need to be aware of other lobbying groups and organizations like unions, particularly teachers, particularly public workers unions. The farming lobby screws you a lot, and they screw you a lot through policies that fundamentally transform the economy, like we've discussed, corn subsidies. And it's like a third rail because it's such a big deal in government. Here's what is certain. None of this makes sense. None of this is good for you, the American worker.
Right.
When we're talking about America first, we're talking about you, the American taxpayer, who wants to be able to determine your own future and destiny. This is bad. They shouldn't be allowed to own land, and if it's because of the farming lobby, they shouldn't have the influence that they do.
Yeah, and he needs to do something about it other than say Obama. Right.
Yes.
And I think you maybe even mentioned that, but I want to just come back to it because I don't expect him to completely undo the past. I don't have expectations of him that are outside of his scope of authority and abilities, right? But I do expect him to kind of step up and go, hey, we got to stop this. This can't be something that we do going forward. And by the way, it wouldn't be very hard if you decided to take a stand on this and pull those 384,000 acres back to just say, hey, we'll do it, and then we will put it on the market over a period of time so that we don't cause a crash in the market.
Right.
It's not like you have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. We should never have let it happen in the first place. Fine. How about fix it? You're in the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that land is close to military installations. If it butts up to it, maybe you just annex that.
Yep.
And then you don't have extra farmland to worry about the market.
Yeah.
Or like Gerald said, over time.
Well, I will tell you this. This is one where it gives critics of this administration, they have a point. And I think this is far more meaningful and impactful than the Epstein binder rollout, which was absolutely abysmal. But on a grand scale, this really does determine our direction in the future. Okay, here we go to China, specifically on President Trump. He was discussing with Sean Hannity. I believe the next one is regarding Chinese exchange students.
As far as the students, it's 500,000 students. They come, good students. I could tell them, I don't want any students.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a very insulting thing to say to
So?
a country.
Okay.
They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you
Good.
don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, you know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that not only them but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it. And you know, the ones that
I can only get so erect.
The top schools will do fine, but your lower schools, the ones that don't do quite as well, they'll be dying all over the place. I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, and many of them want to stay here. I think it's good. Not everybody agrees with me, and it doesn't sound like a very conservative position. And I'm as conservative. I'm a conservative guy. I'm really a common sense guy, I think, more than a conservative guy. I think MAGA is common sense, you know?
So before I get to it, what's common sense about allowing Chinese students to come here, get an education? Here's the thing. Many of them go back, just to be clear. Most of them, depending on the numbers you use, go back. And if they don't, and they stay here, how can you trust them? And then let's walk all the way down the trail that he presents. And many of the universities will close down. Good. If the universities require students approved by the Communist Chinese Party to come here, and through any form of subsidy, to stay afloat, they should go away.
They should have never been there.
They shouldn't be there. How about that? And that's where we now get to the end game, the screw-stige. Because we've been here for a long time. Every single Chinese student in the United States is approved by the Communist Party. You know that, right? Also, those who are sent to bang Eric Swalwell, allegedly. And the students who are on any kind of government scholarships, they sign a pledge of loyalty to the Communist Chinese Party. And we've seen huge problems with those people acting as spies here in the United States. Being used to give leverage to the Communist Chinese Party. Let me give you the numbers, too. So the Chinese students in the United States right now, by the way, these trends have, they've been consistent. They've been going up for Chinese in the U.S. and us there going down. But right now it sits at around 275,000 Chinese students in the United States. You know how many American students in China? Less than 1,000.
So when he says you take 500,000, you take 500,000 people out of the industry, of course it's going to crumble. We're not taking 500,000 people out of that industry.
Yeah,
there's not 500,000 people in that industry.
Not right now. It's
277,000.
Yeah, about 277,000.
But he wants to add. He wants to double that.
That's the way that it would come across, and he's been unclear with his words. This was I would say, arguably amongst the worst interviews that he's given.
Yeah, and listen, if you had people coming from a country, say like England wanted to send some people over to us, or France, or places like that are a little bit more closely aligned with kind of our values, Canada, and ideals, or something like that. Yeah, that's a different conversation to have. But when you've got a country that is absolutely 100% dead set against us, and they are trying everything that they can do with land purchases, everything else with rare earths, all of it, their influence is how they get a foothold. Why would you? And he's like, oh, well, they'll go build their own universities. Fan-freaking-tastic. Guess what? Maybe that's money they're not spending on their military.
Yep.
And something that we won't have to deal with in the future, potentially.
Oh, great. Timu U.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A real big threat to the Ivy Leagues in America.
Yeah. Screw yourselves. This one I just cannot. It boggles my mind that he's even on this page.
Yeah. So they own over 380,000 acres of American farmland. We own 0 acres of Chinese farmland. They have over 275,000 students who pledge allegiance to the Communist Chinese Party. Here in our schools, we have less than 1,000. How does that give us an advantage? Can anyone make the case? I'm sure there's some libertarian there who's like, I don't believe in borders. Good, go ahead and make the case.
Yeah.
Make the case so it sounds just as stupid to everyone else in the comments section as it does in the way I just said it.
Yeah, it's not like they're over here building our railroads.
Not anymore.
No, they're taking all these student positions.
Although, you know what? You could bring back a couple of opium dens.
Yeah, why not? Nevada.
It's
why
a
not?
couple. It's a little safer than fentanyl. Now let's go to trade. And this is
these days, at least online, people will have copium dens. Bro, I looked at my homepage and saw a video said Star Fox right wing. What? Right wing hero or gay icon? I'm gonna have to look that one up. That's at least sounds like interesting slop at the least, but could be greatness.
One where President Trump has been stronger in the past, but it seems like he may not be going that direction again. Some of this is speculation because we don't know the official policy. the rhetoric isn't good. They're talking about trade deals supposedly being secured from their meeting there in Beijing.
New trade promises are emerging from a pivotal summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Here's what that looks like, at least so far. China agreeing to buy 200 Boeing jets. Beijing's also expected to commit $10 billion for American agriculture products with a new board of trade to help oversee tariffs.
So even if that happened to be true, I still don't see the benefit in the same way to the American worker. I know somebody say, well, bigger markets. Really, China's an export market. It's not really an import market. Not enough to move the needle in the way that you would think, which brings us to the, if it happened to be true. No. Here's the screw-stige. We've been here before. It didn't happen. So from 2020, 2021, China committed to buying over $500 billion worth of exports from the United States. They only bought 58% of what they promised. And by the way, people will say, oh, that was because of COVID. No, they were still around, I think, 55% pre-COVID, post-COVID. They don't meet their obligations. The Chinese, they are a nation of liars. You understand that, right? When dealing with their government, their primary goal is to subvert American culture and for us, or for them, to ensure that we are no longer the world's economic superpower.
No, I just think it would be, I don't think it would be like a... When I say an interesting video, I don't mean, oh, how insightful. No, I think it's going to be like slop, but I think it would be a funny, fun watch to possibly watch on a weekend stream.
And we've really enabled it. They went from a tchotchke economy.
But I'm sure it'll have something to do with the furry community, being that it's Star Fox, and I know the furries especially got their start from something Star Fox related. I know of a couple, Kaiser Neko from Team 4-Star. I'm pretty sure he said that Star Fox was what kind of tipped him in that direction.
To a potential adversary in the technology race. That doesn't happen without us propping them up. This is all concerning, especially considering that before his trip, he got some advice from a former president on how to deal with China.
Here's some advice.
With George W.
We're
Bush.
dealing with the Chinese. They're like a dog whose bark is worse than their bite. But here's the thing about the Chinese. They eat the dogs. Isn't that silly? Like they never heard of a hot dog? Well, I guess that is their version of a hot dog, but anyways, I'm 75. I found that if you ignore their kablooey theater, the intimidation disappears. And that the Chinamen are very physically smart.
No, I'm not saying that of all furries. I'm just saying that, like, I know some of them got their start through things like that, through the anthropomorphic animals, from things like that, or even Fairuza Balk from that really crappy The Island of Dr. Moreau movie. Dr. Moreau, yeah.
Small in stature. And their
Going with
asses
Val
are
Kilmer and
surprisingly easy to kick.
oh, Brando.
Here's some advice.
That was good. He should have taken some of that.
Should, yeah.
It would have been nice for us to see. So with I'm not going to pivot to AI, I promise, but with everything going on in robotics and AI, it seems like that's really the only people. No, that's the only thing I'm going to mention on it. It seems like we just sent CEOs from those companies that stand to benefit the most from that and from working with China instead of sending some of the China hawks. Lane was talking about this earlier. We didn't send some people that were a little tougher on China. And so the die was kind of cast a little bit from the beginning. And the trade deals that they announced were very ho-hum. Like nobody looked at these and said, oh, good. Because we can hold their feet to the fire when they don't do what they said. There's no leverage, really, that we're willing to exercise on China to get this done. We have leverage. We're just not willing to exercise it. And on the student thing, just a final point. Like, I don't understand how you don't see this as President of the United States. When you have that many people coming in, it increases demand. When the demand goes up, the pricing tends to go up with it, especially if you're saying these are very smart students. And then you couple that with Elon Musk saying we don't have people trained in this. I wonder why. I wonder why you're taking up hundreds of thousands of spots every single year, pushing prices up and telling people that they have to go to the lower colleges. And you're not just saying like, oh, these people are coming in and filling the lower colleges. You're saying they're the best and brightest to compete with Americans and that we don't produce the kind of people that we need to. Well, maybe if college was a little less expensive, and maybe if they didn't just check the box on, well, this is a smart person from China and push the American student out of the way, maybe it would look a little different. What would it look like right now if this policy had been reversed years ago? China would have had to build their own institutions or flood the UK or somewhere else.
I'll tell you what this would look like if that policy had been reversed or never enacted, right, let's say, and no affirmative action. Colleges would be very white. Asian Americans, a lot, of course. You've been to Cal Poly.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't have drug dealers; they have ginseng dealers. It's like it is. But Asian Americans would do well, and so would white Americans.
Yes.
No DEI, no affirmative action, and we're not allowing people from adversarial nations. It would look very similar to how college has looked in the past. That would be the natural order of things. And I know you say, well, some people don't have opportunities. No. Public schools, far more spending per pupil in areas where black Americans are overrepresented. Right. That playing field has been leveled, by the way. It should be leveled completely in that we should do away with it and, let's just say, apply a student voucher program, if anything. But yeah, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
We can't do that. All of this has been done. And then you know what else? It would be less expensive if you couldn't afford it. And if you weren't willing to work your way through it. There wouldn't be a grant. There wouldn't be a scholarship. Yeah. So they would have to charge a reasonable price or they would go out of business. When you talk about industries that you hate, they have been propped up by special interest groups. And this is why the conversation regarding APAC that people have, and I've said they can go screw themselves with a wire brush, but it does take your eye off of what truly affects you on a day-to-day basis. If you look at education, specifically college, I mean, skyrocketing costs. They've ballooned out of control. If you look at the healthcare sector, you look at insurance companies, you look, for example, at American auto manufacturing and airlines. Guess what? You look at energy. These are all companies that are heavily subsidized and have been propped up on behalf of special interests. And by that, I mean special interests not representing the vast majority of Americans. You are not represented by the American Auto Workers Union. Do you have any idea how much pull they have over the government? You are not represented by any of the unions or the lobbyists for airlines. But do you have...
If you're wondering what I'm doing, I think they just released who the San Diego shooter was, so my apologies.
Any idea how much pull they have? You are not represented by any of the teachers' unions or by any of the lobbying groups for higher education. Do you have any idea how much pull they have? Same thing with insurance companies. And so when you're looking at education, just as an example, you have the interests, of course, in public schools before that of teachers' unions, of all kinds of educational unions. You look at the administrative costs, how they ballooned out of control. Then you look at colleges, by the way, who, of course, get all kinds of grants and subsidies, and so they make it unaffordable. And you have student loan forgiveness. And then you look at the vested interest of a foreign nation like China, and they have been pushing to get more exchange students in, and you have a government that says, sure. Let's give you more money, more grants, more scholarships. Let's make sure that you have some kind of relief if you're financially struggling. And yeah, you know what? Let's do this because it'll improve relations with China. Think about, banks. I forgot banks. Have you tried to do any significant banking, like with, I don't know, Bank of America, Chase, take, the McDonald's of banks? They don't want people who are actually looking to grow their money. Their business model, the reason that you will be on the phone with someone from New Delhi for 8 hours is because their model is improve nothing, screw the customer, and get a bailout eventually. It's the same thing with education, insurance, airlines, American auto manufacturing, big banks. The industries that you hate, these are not bastions of unregulated freedom. It's not the Wild West of big banking. It's not the Wild West of higher education. And people keep pointing to them and go, we need more government. More government means more so in the pockets of these big unions and special lobbying groups. And there are many of them. Yeah. None of this is in the best interest of you, the American worker taxpayer. The average American who doesn't work for the federal government, who doesn't have a public job but works in the private sector, pays taxes, and is trying to raise a family. These other industries are designed to lobby the government to fleece you. All those industries that I've just mentioned. That is why your quality of life perhaps has gone down in those facets. Those are the areas. Now, the areas where your quality of life has improved, and this is the argument that I see where people keep missing each other. housing, of course. People keep missing each other. We have young people going, it's terrible, there's no opportunity. Thanks, boomers. And then boomers going, well, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? And actually, you guys have air conditioning and bigger house and more square footage. Both of those things are true. But if you look, for example, where costs have gone down, technology, for example, food, access to more food, access to healthier food, in some cases, transportation, right? These are technological advances. These are not the same as the systemic problems that younger people face in housing, in education, in banking, and what loans look like, and the ability to generate enough capital to invest. So the solution is, hey, we see progress. For example, people often point to a phone or a flat screen TV. It's far less expensive now than it was 15, 20 years ago. That's absolutely true. That's the natural advancement of a free market. Can we apply that to education? Can we apply that to health insurance?
Perhaps.
And our currently broken system? Can we apply that to airlines? Just apply the approach in industries where it works, and you've seen an improvement in quality of life, to the areas where we've seen the opposite. And instead the solution is more money, please, more money, please, more money, please. Well, once you do that, and the industry is too big to be supported by an actual consumer base here in the United States, foreign government's going to help, or some big-ass lobbying groups. That makes sense? President Trump has been tougher on China than any other president. Like I've said, that's true. But this does not seem like he's going the right direction. It's also why I've said in the past, and why he won't be on the show and won't ever post any of our stuff, Elon Musk did a great thing by purchasing X. He also might be the Antichrist. Now, probably not, because people overuse that. That's hyperbole. Yeah. But if you look at his stance on China, and you look at his stance on H-1Bs, and you look at his stance on issues that would fundamentally harm and transform America, they're not great. He's cool on freedom of speech and trans and kids. The rest of it, a lot of damage would be done if Elon Musk had his way. And he was there. So what do we get out of this with China? That's really the question, right? America first means, what do you get? What do you get by us allowing Chinese to purchase farmland? Can anyone answer that to me? What do you get by us allowing more Chinese exchange students coming here? What do you get? Can anyone answer? What do you get if they come here, they have to pledge allegiance to the Communist Chinese Party. They come here and they defect and they become a part of the workforce. What do you get out of it? What do we get if they purchase 50% of the exports from the United States? Like you just saw, agricultural products. What do you get? Do we have any answers? Are they going to help us reopen the Strait of Hormuz? Are they still part of the unholy alliance with Russia and Iran, the part that we don't say out loud? It does make it pretty tough to make the case that when you look at Venezuela and you look...
Real quick, breaking. The two mosque shooters were identified as Caleb Vasquez and Kane Clark, which is this girl, I guess. And when this came up, that Kane Clark was the shooter, Angel Reese was like, I never liked that bitch. But it's kind of insane. And the media's already said it was some kind of white nationalist shooting, while it does seem like it was some kind of Islamophobia there. Kane Clark. I'm not going to speculate, but you know what I'm thinking. And then Caleb Vasquez, he's Hispanic, I believe. I mean, they had, I guess, a gas can with SS written on the side, which the jokes are already starting, those damn Kiss fans. But both the shooters were found with self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the face in a white BMW. And it's not the first time in a long time that the SS symbol has been located inside of a BMW. But that's all I'm going to say about that. More to come. If anything else comes out, we'll probably put that on another episode. But for now, that's what it is.
Look at what we've done with energy, and you look at what's happening with Iran, that all of this was triangulating China, his rhetoric on Cuba, when it just seems like we go, yeah, and we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing and maybe be a little more lenient. I'd love to have anyone from the administration on to answer this, because I think we've been fair, and I'm certainly not going to vote Democrat. I'm precluded from that.
Right.
But this direction, hey.
Why did I say the Caitlin Clark thing? Because I've been Googling this, and when I found the name, I Googled the name itself, and a bunch of Caitlin Clark shit popped up. And for some reason, Dean Cain, which isn't even nearly as close.
Guess what? Critics, not leftist critics, those on the right, have a point if you keep going this direction.
Yeah, and I think you made the right kind of split here. It's rhetoric versus action. So the rhetoric is all we have right now in some of this, not looking great. What he actually ends up doing, we'll see, because maybe there's some other stuff going on behind the scenes.
We don't know.
Trying to figure out right now, and they've got a lot of leverage points, and they don't want to do anything to make the Chinese lose face in the midst of that. I have no idea.
Say it correctly.
That's a charitable Chinese.
There, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't tolerate. That guy gets it.
He's understood it for a very long time.
He should be our ambassador.
He is. He's just in jail.
And he should be shot collared unless he says only that phrase.
Forever? What would you like for lunch today?
It's like Marcus Aurelius had one of his, I believe it was one of his servants or advisors, lean into his ear, and every day he would consistently say, "You are just a man, you are just a man, you are just a man," to remind him, right, as an emperor. President Trump needs that in his meetings with China. Just every couple of minutes, that man to lean into his ear. Don't trust China. China is asshole, and go back, fade back into the mist. Just every day.
Where is that guy?
Thank you.
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
I missed that guy. I hope he's okay.
Thank you. I needed that.
Appreciate that. That's right. Screw you, Xi.
Upon further reflection, Xi, I have been reminded that you are in fact an asshole, and how about no deal? YouTube's is something you're not allowed to say according to the guidelines.
And I agree. China is asshole. But again, not really breaking news. This started last night, but apparently there's a new California wildfire to which Mayor Karen Bass, who is in the middle of a heated, no pun intended, a heated election campaign right now with a former reality TV star, sounds familiar, saw the news of the wildfire, and she said, fuck, this is just what I need right now. Mind you, she's only 1 point ahead of a Republican, a reality TV show Republican, who a lot of people are calling Timu Trump. Not a lot of people, mostly just me, but I hope it catches on. So Timu Trump is running against Karen Bass and that Indian lady for the the LA mayoral race. And the fact that a wildfire broke out again. I know they happen every year, but it seems like it was ordained. I don't know if you believe it or not, but it seems like it was ordained by God that this wildfire comes to boost the person who the last wildfire, the big one, to which Karen Bass was in Africa for some reason, for work, she says. Why a mayor is in another country or another continent at all doing anything for work is beyond me, especially one that looks like Grandma Dinosaur from the show Dinosaurs in the 90s. For those of you with comparison, hold on. Karen Bass. We'll do images, and then we'll do Grandma from Dinosaurs. All right, so this is Karen Bass. We'll use this one. That's Karen Bass. This is Grandma from Dinosaurs. I don't care if no one else laughs. That one's just for Alfie. But, so anyway, a lot of, oh shit, that's really happening right now is going on. But look, guys, and just remember, no matter how bad things get, no matter if you're feels like your whole life is falling apart, whether it be politically driven, in which case seek therapy, or if it's something going on in your personal lives, just remember, until you choose otherwise, and I hope you don't, this is not the last day of your life. You can recover from anything. I'm living proof. I've had to restart my entire life five times. Basically like Ken Titus, Christopher Titus's father. But mine didn't involve divorce. But no matter how much time you feel like you've wasted, no matter how much time you feel like you have left, there's always a way out. And you don't have to give up everything to find it. I've never been the most hopeful person, but over the last year and a half, I've been on a bit of a journey to see the sunny side of things. And I don't mean to sound like the Joker when I say that, but you gotta find ways, whether it be doing something nice for yourself, whether it be doing something you enjoy doing, whether it be hanging out with people that you love hanging out with, whether it be watching my show and watching me embarrass myself as I try to claim any kind of prominence. You got to find something, and you know, I finally got a job I really like. But no matter what happens, no matter what curveballs you get, you got to take a swing, and you got to do what's right by you. Get you a code. Get you things that you will do, and most importantly, things you won't do. And live by that. Try your best. And even if you fail, you can fail several times, 100 times. But you just never stop trying. Okay? But that's it. If I get too much further in that, I'm gonna dig myself a hole. So, just don't take things too seriously, and make sure that if something matters to you, if it's a person, let them know that it matters. But if something matters to you, hold on to it. I don't know. Anyway, now I'm just babbling. So I'm gonna end it there. Make sure you check out Crowder, Decoy Voice, and even though we didn't get to it, Lord Nux and the Critical Drinker. We might get into that later this week. But I'm not gonna make any more weekend promises. I'm just gonna say we'll see you guys Monday, and then maybe you'll get a surprise on Saturday or Sunday. I am gonna start streaming games again very soon. I think I'm going to start with that Mouse for Hire PI game. Sorry, Mouse PI for Hire. Or some old school 2D game. Or jump into the Ethan Chronicles for Resident Evil 7 and 8. But I haven't decided yet, but I will shortly. But yeah, I don't want to make any more broken promises, so I'm not going to promise any weekend streams from now on, because I don't like disappointing people, even though I'm very good at it. But y'all get out there and be somebody. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. This has been Alfie Animus for the Associated Guests. Yeah, signing.